Hi there. I'm Sean, and I'm an experiencer. And welcome to our collective experiences. This podcast is for experiencers of anomalous events or those that are open to all possibilities that our experiences may bring to our lives. And today, I will be sharing my own near-death experience with you. 1 minute I was alive, materialistic, and emotionally and financially broken. I was desperate to change my circumstances. And then the unthinkable happens. An accident strikes. My absolute favorite pocket knife flicks out and ends up deep in my arm. It nicks my artery, and I found myself dying. I slowly started drifting off someplace else. I'm dead, and I know it. There is no second or third chances this time. This is it. But before I'm fully gone, I get a message. I really didn't like it. Oh, okay. That's a little too far north. That's actually my summer home. That's better. So in order for you to fully imagine the difference that having a near-death experience can have on a person, or what Jeffrey Kripal calls the flip, you have to first know what life was like before the incident. This was my life just a short couple of years prior, and has been a series of bad luck after bad luck for months now. I'm smack dab in the middle of my business, failing in spectacular fashion, publicly, humiliatingly. Seeing oneself publicly ostracized, torn to shreds by strangers who suddenly knew everything about me, and being judged in the most worst way. This had an effect on me. But if there's one constant in my life, it is most definitely that I never do anything halfway, and that includes failing in spectacular fashion. I am a crane operator and a paramedic by trade. I've been picking things up and putting them down since I was 18, at the same time putting band-aids on the boo-boos and kissing the big tough tradesman's ouchies better. My life up until now has been the usual, typical life, albeit with some oddities I just can't quite explain. I wanted to try to create something of my own that would allow me the freedom to escape the mundane and do what I truly want to do, even if I have no idea what that is as of yet. I have a family and 2 daughters, ages 10 and 5. They're amazing. They're hilarious, challenging, boisterous, brilliant, and a huge pain in the butt sometimes. Let's be honest, they're kids. I love them so much. I love camping. I love the outdoors in general, watching movies, and I love to cook. It's my love language. And when you suck at showing emotions, cooking meals is the next best thing. I could even say I'm a wannabe Gordon Ramsay. I hunt every year since my oldest daughter was born, and I take pride in being able to provide for my family. I know that it was handled with love and care, or as much as I can. Sometimes successful, sometimes not so much, but the challenge and the work are what brings satisfaction. And that's why they call it hunting and not grocery shopping. I've wanted to start a business for years, not knowing what or how to apply my skills. On the ambulance, I earned the nickname the Black Cloud. So much experience in only a short couple of months while I earned my certification. How these skills can apply to a business, I have no idea, but I just know I need to start one, and maybe then that will make me happy. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs, some successful, some not. Still remembering the year when I was just a wee lad, all the family ate was beans and rice. I never went hungry, which is a blessing, but my family had some real tough times when I was growing up, and I am desperate for that not to happen to my kids. Having money, having security, being successful, having respect, maybe then I'll be worthy of being loved. Maybe then I will be safe. Safety. What a strange word. I don't think I've ever felt safe. It is a constant battle with myself to keep the anxieties and fears at bay, all while trying to maintain the outside appearance of being carefree and aloof. Humor and charm are my armor and my weapons. This is all in response to this deep, unnerving feeling that if I'm truly seen, I will be rejected. Trying to keep some indistinct, distant, and dark shadow at bay which lurks at the edges and around every corner of my consciousness. Hidden pain, trauma, shit I can't even explain. And ones I have desperately tried to forget. So yeah, a business can fix all of that. Why couldn't it, right? So cut to a year before I die. And the business finally implodes. My life and myself are left in ruins. Everything I had gone into it, and desperation took hold. There were plenty of signs and opportunities to pull the plug before it was pulled for me. Like, I don't know, being drugged by your own business partner because I dared to question why he was pulling money from the accounts to pay his own bills when it was needed to operate. That should have been a hint, and that should have been the line. But I had to see it through. Stubborn is one of my best qualities. My life was in shambles, broke, and in a crumbling and failing marriage with kids to feed and still raise. I looked to my past for patterns and lessons I'd learned before and tried to apply them. Putting on the emotional mask, and I played the part like I always did. Until I didn't. I started breaking and even began to cry. Which hadn't happened since childhood. That first crumbling of the dam, which was holding back years of hurt, pain, trauma, and anguish, it became too much. But then that had to be pushed aside. The business was done, but I had to keep going. I got my old job back and went back to it, the one I hated. I could feel the animosity, the hate, and every other terrible emotion someone will put on themselves when they are in the deepest depression. Slowly, I trudged through the next couple of months, trying to regain a foothold in my now shattered life, dealing with the illegalities of the collapsing business. I was a failure as a father, as a husband, and as a man. I had dishonored my family, and there was nothing left of me. All that was left was an image of myself that I tried to project out. And then that was shattered and left in a pile all over the place. Internally, my mind and soul were a battlefield of hate-filled landmines, unconscious patterns, booby-trapped every decision, and no matter which way I turned, it always ended, filled to the brim with pain. I was so tired that the mask that I desperately put on to protect myself as my armor against the world was stripped, shredded, and torn away. What was left was the torn flesh of my soul and life. I scrambled to grasp and to grip onto anything solid that was the now disaster that was my life. But how could I save myself or my marriage, my kids, or even my life? One thing after the other. Plan, and then failure. Once the ball starts rolling, it's hard to stop it. It's like trying to stop an avalanche with fire hoses. You need a lot of them, and it has to be perfect. I was not. Selling the house, then moving into a rental, which quickly became untenable. Downsizing even further into a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo that the family had grown too large for in our early 20s. But now, we have to squeeze 4 of us into. I have to finish renovating it still because the previous year the floor had collapsed from a sinkhole underneath the unit. And so, until that is finished, it will be living with my parents. Again. And oh yeah, COVID. That looming threat hanging over everyone's head. But the traffic is great, so there's that. Everything is moved out. The kids are at my parents', and my wife is cleaning the house. Possession goes back to the landlord tomorrow, and I have a couple of touch-ups with paint upstairs I have to do. And then move the rest of the stuff in the garage to storage. I'm exhausted. It's been a constant downward spiral for so damn long. I'm not sure how I'll ever get out of this. I head to the basement and I look for the paint. I find the 5-gallon bucket with a pull top which is used for pouring the paint out. It's cemented shut with the paint left by the builder. Damn! It's really on there. I should run upstairs and get my screwdriver. But screw that. I'm tired, and this will be quick. I whip out my pocket knife, and I start prying at the paint with the tip. My left arm holding down the bucket, my right using a prying motion on it, trying to pop it. And... fuck. I look to my left arm, and under a second, my knife is in my left arm. Like, deep. And it pops instantly out onto the floor. The weird thing is, it didn't hurt. Like, weirdly, I didn't feel it. Dark red liquid starts spraying everywhere on the floor. I quickly yell to grab the keys, and we have to go to the hospital now. I run up the stairs and, surprisingly, didn't get blood anywhere. I ran through the door and out onto the garage pad towards the car, and I hear my wife yelling behind me, "There's no way I'm driving you." Why? It's not that bad. And I turn around. Shit. It is that bad. Alright, call 911. But I can finally cross one item off my bucket list. Stabbing a bitch. I'm dying, and I know I am. I can see all the blood draining from my arm onto the concrete, and I flip down the tailgate of my truck, using it as a rest, because my energy is quickly draining. I'm pushing so hard on my arm to stop the bleeding that it ends up snapping the tendons and muscles, and one shoots down to my wrist and bunches up, and the other a rubber band into my shoulder. My wife hands me a towel and I press it up to my wound, and I'm starting to get really woozy. So I go to lean up against the garage, and I slump to the concrete. The flow has started to slow to a trickle, and I can hear the distant alarmed voices of my wife and now a neighbor. The sun is so hot on my face, and I'm so tired. I slump over, and I ask my wife to bring over the kids' wagon so I can put myself in the recovery position. I think I should put on a tourniquet, but 911 tells us no. I have my arm propped up on the wagon now. I'm laying on my side with my other hand pushing as hard as I can on the entry wound, trying to slow the constant flow of my life force. And the concrete of the garage pad looks like an elk had been shot, or the scene from Dexter, although without all the pretty plastic draped everywhere. The coppery smell mixed with the heat is sickeningly strong, and my stomach starts to turn. And the feeling of every scrap of energy has left me. I'm trying to hold on desperately. The ambulance is 20 minutes away, yet somehow the station's only 5 minutes away. I know this time, I'm not coming back from this. I've almost died several times at this point. My kids say I have the lives of a cat. This one is probably number 9. Death, or at least near death, is a familiar companion to me. Asthma attacks, anaphylaxis, or that one time getting swept down a mountain in a shale slide, almost right to a cliff. That was fun. This time is different though. I know I'm not going to make it, but I am confused by the emotions that are emerging. Not so much that I'm afraid of dying, it's almost a relief to be honest. But the feeling that I'm going to miss out on so much, that I won't see who my daughters become, all the years I've already wasted trying to provide them a better life. And now I'm laying here dying, and I will miss the rest. This sucks. I love them so much. My eyes are open, but everything is becoming white. Starting at the edges and slowly bleeding towards the center. My hearing is drifting off, and I can feel my heart and body only the slightest. And then it's blackness. I see a body from above, and I start to think to myself, what the hell? What is he doing down there? God, he looks terrible. Like, he looks really rough. Like, really rough. Like, damn. And then it hits me. That's not some other person. That's me. I see the trail of blood from where I'm laying to the car and back to the house. There's so much blood. I look like a mannequin. And then I wondered to myself, what am I doing down there? Why am I up here? Then as soon as I realize that, I get rocketed straight up into the sky. And then blackness. Oh, wait. There's a light. Far, far away. It's so bright and so tiny. And I can feel myself getting pulled towards it. And I sense other lights around me heading towards the same source. It's starting to get bigger and bigger until it takes up my entire view now. And it's not a perfect circle. Its edges are like if you took white ink and dropped it from a height on a black sheet of paper. Drips and drops from the periphery are pulled back to the center of this source of illumination. I'm so close now. It's a meadow. Damn. It's so pretty here. Look at the butterflies. Oh my God, so many. The smell is the most beautiful and fresh smelling grass and flowers and dew after a thunderstorm I can think of, and there's more smells I can't even describe. This is so incredible. My vision is like it's hazy and yet super clear at the same time, like I'm in a bubble. And then I start to hear music. It's so beautiful. Like nothing I have ever heard before. Music being played on a harp. Well, that seems a little on the nose, don't you think? So much nature, so many butterflies of all colors and flowers of yellow and blue. The grass is a greenish yellow and long with a slight hill in the distance. There's a lone tree to my left, and a small stream runs through the middle of this meadow, and it seems to stretch as far as I can see. Then I feel someone, or someone's around me. I can feel them. And I feel an immense and almost indescribable love radiating to me, and through me, and enveloping me. I know them. They're speaking to me, and it's in my head. Not heard by my ears, but rather a sudden knowing, even though it's in a language I don't actually understand. But I do understand. I don't know how, but somehow I know. I have to make a choice. I can stay here with them, and there's nothing wrong with staying, but my mission isn't complete yet. I've strayed too far, and if I decide to go back, it's my last chance. And right now, I'm thinking I'm staying. Then, these beings bring me to an immense, ornate, and beautiful library. Bigger than any church or building, St. Peter's Basilica. They all look tiny and poor compared to this place. It's huge. There's huge, beautiful books with intricate designs on the spine of every imaginable color and texture, and they line the hall from floor to ceiling on huge shelves. The space is lit with torches that somehow illuminate the vast space, even though they couldn't possibly do that. And the smell is of old leather books and comfort. It's the only way I can describe it. On the ceiling, there are huge paintings, and this place has multiple levels, as far as up as I can see, and as far in front and behind me. It seems to stretch on forever. Then, I can feel them beckoning me to follow them into a room off the side of this main hall. They bring me to a room full of books again, and wood paneling, and chairs. So many books. This library is huge, and I couldn't imagine having enough time in 1,000 lifetimes to be able to read them all. And in the center of this massive room is this raised pedestal with a single leg perched on top of it. And on top of it sits a half dome with the map. Somehow I know it's a map. I go up to it, and this is the map of my life. Or lives. And I'm being shown where I have been and where I'm going. It shows all the paths to get me here, and all the choices I made, and all the choices I didn't make. I see all the different branches of how I would always eventually end up at this exact moment. This was always meant to happen. They tell me that I won't remember anything about my possible paths in the future if I choose to go back. It's here to help me make the decision. And it's my decision, and both of them are right. There is no wrong answer. But I need to remember this is my last chance. Sean, can you hear me? I'm going to put an IV in you and a tourniquet on your arm. Is there anyone else in the house? I'm barely able to whisper out a no. Okay, hold on. We got you. They get me into the ambulance and are shocked at how fast I am bouncing back. My blood pressure is 36/52, and she estimates that I lost 3 liters of blood. I would find out a couple of months later in a trauma course that the odds of survival when you lose that much are under 5%. I arrive at the hospital and are rushed into the trauma bay. The nurse comes over and is about to change my tourniquet to the one they have, and I notice her nice shoes and tell her that I would highly suggest she change those. Because I'm a squirter. And then I realized what I just said, and I laugh. She looks at me, then the paramedic, who enthusiastically agrees. So the nurse grabs a gown, changes her shoes, and undoes my tourniquet. Splash! Instantly everywhere. It comes rushing out of my arm, and she quickly switches the tourniquets. She looks at me with an amused and relieved expression and says, "I'm so glad I changed. Those were my favorites." My wife and I wait an hour, and the surgeon comes down to look. I'm stable at this point and still haven't taken morphine yet, as I want to be clear-headed when I talk to them. It is the worst pain I have ever felt. I've broken my arm, broken my feet, I've broken my nose. I've had a lot of injuries. This takes the cake. The tourniquet squeezes my arm off, and it feels like someone is trying to constantly rip it off. And then the part that is dying from the lack of blood is screaming in agony. Think that tingling feeling when it falls asleep. And then that feeling got electrocuted by Zeus. The surgeon arrives, and he has an idea that he wants to try before risking surgery to repair the artery. He sticks two of his fingers, 2 knuckles deep, into my arm and applies pressure to the nicked artery for 30 minutes and releases the tourniquet. And I get that sweet, sweet morphine. When the time is up, he slips his fingers from inside my arm, and I immediately say, "Nope, that didn't work." The surgeon quickly replies, "No, I'm pretty sure it did." And I feel this wave come flooding through my arm from the inside out. When the torrent of red exits my body, he quickly applies the direct pressure to my artery again. Surgery it is. This was my own personal retelling of my near-death experience. This event I consider my flip moment. There is a clear line in my life, the before and the after. I'm not the same person I was before this. I was an atheist, a materialist, and never thought that what would happen after we leave this pretty blue marble. But now, as of this moment, I am a highly spiritual and open to all possibilities person. As I continue this podcast, I will continue telling my own personal journey of being an experiencer. My journey has been difficult and ugly, like so many of you, including BPD, ADHD, both my own personal abductions, as well as a family history of encounters dating back to 1937. But my life has been filled with love, passion, joy, excitement, adventure, and living life in the moment, and I'm so thankful for it all. The great quote from Vanilla Sky is, "Just remember, the sweet is never as sweet without the sour," and I know the sour. Or the hermetic wisdom of "as above, so below." We cannot truly reach heaven if our roots are not touching hell. And that seems to be the wisdom I've been recently trying to apply. I'm recording this both for myself and to fully explore and maybe finally let go of the past, because words have power. And now they will be free to live here, not in my head and not in my heart. I will try my best to give the unfiltered version of my life story, and hopefully this will help those who are struggling with their idea of where to go and how to get there. It is possible to reach the other side. It's not all doom and gloom and feeling alone. My story is about finding love and trust in others and finding love for myself. As I go through this journey, I will also want to hear from other experiencers as well. And not just the experience, because we are so much more than just these little snapshots in time that will ultimately change us. I want to know the journey you have been on, the obstacles you have surmounted, the struggles and the victories. I want to provide a safe and understanding space for people to share their personal experiences with anomalous events, both anomalously or known. Whether these experiences were traumatic or uplifting, I believe, and I really believe this, it is important to talk openly and authentically about what we have gone through. By listening to each other's stories and connecting them with our own, we can heal and learn from one another. I know listening to others' stories helped me heal, and it's time to pay it forward. I approach this phenomenon with curiosity and an open mind, knowing that these experiences have the power to change our lives in profound ways. I know it's changed mine completely, and I'm never looking back. So please join me next time as I explore the unknown and welcome to our collective experiences. Thanks for watching.